As a person with a very deep voice, I'm hired all the time for advertising campaigns. But a deep voice doesn't sell B2B, and advertising on the wrong platform doesn't sell B2B either. That's why if you're a B2B marketer, you should use LinkedIn ads. LinkedIn has the targeting capabilities to help you reach the world's largest professional audience. That's right, over 70 million decision makers all in one place. All the big wigs, then medium wigs, also small wigs who are on the path to becoming big wigs. Okay, that's enough about wigs. LinkedIn ads allows you to focus on getting your B2B message to the right people. So, does that mean you should use ads on LinkedIn instead of hiring me, the man with the deepest voice in the world? Yes. Yes, it does. Get started today and see why LinkedIn is the place to be to be. We'll even give you a $100 credit on your next campaign. Go to linkedin.com/MPN to claim your credit. That's linkedin.com/MPN. Terms and conditions apply.
Entrepreneurs Enigma is a podcast for the ups and downs of entrepreneurship. So the wins and the fails that we all face being entrepreneurs, how we learn from adversity. Every week I talk to a different entrepreneur with a story to tell. I'm Seth Goldstein. Come with me on the journey. This is Entrepreneurs Enigma. Let's get started. Hey everyone, welcome to another edition of the Entrepreneurs Enigma podcast. I am, as always, your host, Seth. Today I have Yong-Soo Chung on the program. He is a serial entrepreneur, a young serial entrepreneur. He is the creator of First Class Founder, which is a weekly podcast and for founders and creators. It's also a newsletter. He was on Wall Street, so he's done other things. So he's not that young. He branched out in 2015 with Urban EDC, which is everyday carry, little knife shop of whatnot online. Then he got bitten by the bug again while still doing Urban EDC because he's a really cute French bulldog named Humphrey. So he and his wife decided to do a online dog boutique named Spotted by Humphrey, who's the chief barking officer. And they have over 150,000 followers across all the social channels. Then as if that wasn't enough, come on now. That's plenty, dude, you know. In 2019, Yong-Soo launched a climate neutral certified 3PL, which is logistics for e-commerce brands with a 39,000 square foot facility. I mean, so he's done enough business in these years to be over $20 million in 8 years. That's pretty impressive. So let's bring Yong-Soo in here. How's it going, buddy? How you doing?
Great.
He's got baby face and everything. If you're watching the video, I mean, the guy's what are you, 32, 33?
I am 37, but I did shave this morning, so it makes me look
all right.
younger.
So you knocked off a few years. There you go.
Yeah.
Still 37. Running 3 successful companies. I mean, I'm sure it hasn't been an overnight success. Nothing's an overnight success. Everything was that guy's done it, 8 years. Yeah, I mean, it's impressive. It's not exactly overnight, though. It's 8 years, got to over $20 million, which is great. And especially you live in San Francisco, for crying out loud.
Yeah.
So it ebbs and flows how much how far that 20 million can actually go. But so I did notice that you were on Wall Street before this, right?
That's right. Yep.
So you were working for the man. Actually, you were really working for the man prior. So what made you kind of get the itch to do your own thing?
Yeah, when I was in Wall Street, I graduated from college in 2009 during the Great Recession.
Oh, best time. That's when I started
best time to graduate.
Oh God, yeah.
And I always had the bug of entrepreneurship. And what's funny, Seth, is that I started freelance writing immediately after. So basically, I got my job at on Wall Street, but then I look for other ways to make money. And so I used to write.
Have to. People think think Wall Street, and they think like the Wolf of Wall Street. Well, hopefully nothing bad about you, but they think Wall Street bankers, lots of money. No, when you start out, you're making chump change. Keep that in mind. Making money for everybody else. Exactly.
You got to start at the bottom, right, and go work your way up. But so yeah, I used to write these personal finance blogs for $25 a pop, an article, and it took me like a couple hours to write those. So pretty sure that was like barely meeting minimum wage if you do the
Yeah.
hourly calculation, maybe. But anyways, I did that, and then tried doing a couple iPhone apps, which
Ooh.
during this time it was, this is 2010, 2011. This is when
Yes,
the
it's okay,
iPhone
no. Yeah.
app economy was really booming, and those didn't really pan out well, but I did learn a lot of valuable lessons.
Exactly. You
Yeah.
learn from the failures.
And so, I want to get into more tech and startups, but living in New York, the ecosystem of startups was non-existent. And
Yeah, back
so
then especially, yeah.
decided to buy a one-way ticket out to San Francisco
Wow.
at the end of 2011. And then I was crashing with a friend at his place up in Berkeley, which is about an hour north of San Francisco.
Yeah.
And I didn't have a job. So I didn't have a place to stay for myself. I didn't have a job, and yeah, I
You
mean,
say
I
went on a
lived off
whim.
of one
Yeah.
suitcase, and
Went on a whim and went out to San Francisco. Yeah.
exactly. So that's how it all started, and this is so this is what, like 12 years ago.
Yeah.
And then I worked at a couple of different startups,
Yeah.
including one that was a blockchain crypto company back in 2014.
Wow,
So
it
pretty early
existed
on.
back then, everybody. It existed back then. Just
Yeah.
no one knew what the heck
Yeah.
it was.
And then after that, I decided to launch my first e-commerce shop, Urban EDC. This is September 2015 is when I launched that. So
why everyday carry? Why knives and like gadgets
Yeah.
and gizmos?
So I did an exercise for myself where I was looking at my credit card statements. And usually when you look at your credit card statements, well, first of all, you're kind of
It's
like,
eye-opening.
it's eye-opening, yeah. And so I aside from like the normal stuff like groceries and utilities that you have to pay for, there were things on the credit card statement where it was like, all right, I'm spending a lot of money on like titanium pens or these
Yeah.
like
It
desktop
do
toys.
things. Yeah.
And so I was like, all right, well, can I turn these expenses into income somehow? And
Oh.
so I thought, I'm already into everyday carry gear. And so why not just start a shop? And then everything if I start a shop, then first of all my hobby expenses can be tax deductible, but also like I can create an online shop.
I mean, after my own heart. I love it, dude. That's what I do for it goes to
Yeah.
me. Like, oh, I need something. Unfortunately for everyone who wants to buy me something, it's a tax write-off. So please don't buy it for me. We're gonna take a quick break, hear from our sponsors, and get right back to the show.
You may know you're listening to this show along the Marketing Podcast Network, but did you know there are other great shows on MPN to help your business? Tim Hines hosts a great podcast called the Marketing Starter Podcast. Tim, tell these fine folks what they're going to get when they listen.
They're going to get great insights on how marketers can take an entrepreneurial attitude to what they do in marketing to be a little bit more successful. So I interview top marketers from all around the world, and heck, even some that are bottom and middle. It's really about marketers who embody the entrepreneurial spirit to be the best that they can be.
Awesome. Where can people subscribe?
They can, of course, subscribe on marketingpodcast.net, but they can also search for the show on all their favorite podcasting platforms, as well as visiting my website, which is tnhines.com/podcast.
You heard him. Go subscribe.
Yeah. So that is how, I mean, I was just analyzing my credit card statements, decided, hey, this is something I spend a lot of money on. Let's start something here. And so that's how Urban EDC started.
And that was in 2015.
Yeah.
And then I guess your inspiration for, Spy by Humphrey was the little knucklehead. Your little doggy.
So he came to us in 2017, and then we weren't planning on it, but he gained quite a bit of following really fast. And this is right around Instagram, when Instagram started boosting the videos, because it was transitioning from photo to a video platform, and a lot of his videos went viral. And so we gained a following there, and we decided, hey, we already have one e-commerce shop. Why not launch a second one?
What's the worst that happens? Like literally, with that, what's the worst that happens? It doesn't work. Okay, you got one. Move along.
Yeah. So we launched Spotted By Humphrey in 2018.
Wow.
And so that's been going steady. So he's and we also get brand sponsorship deals, by the way. So
I know I get hit up with my dog all the time. My dog follows your dog and woofs at your dog every once in a while on Instagram. Yeah. But we get them all the time, and we're like, some of you have to be careful with those,
Yeah, we get some of the deals we get are, they're not necessarily paid either. So like we're going to Sonoma at a 5-star hotel in a couple weekends, and we just have to create content, a blog post, and all that stuff. And so there's a lot of benefits that come out of having a celebrity dog. That is,
you just said that. I saw your face
yeah.
when you said that. You're like a celebrity dog. Yeah.
Yeah. So
and he knows it too.
yeah.
You can tell he's got an attitude.
He actually he doesn't like being photographed. So whenever we take the camera out, he kind of like he's like tired of it almost.
Oh, poor kid. Poor
Yeah.
kid. So then you, as if that wasn't enough, you have two e-commerce shops. In 2019, you decided to do a climate neutral logistics company to kind of, I guess, it's related. There is a red thread here. There's all kind of related. It's all e-commerce, but now you have a physical entity, like the warehouse. It's physical. It's not like drop shipping and stuff like that. So you have a lease.
Yeah, we got a lease. And so the story behind that is that we were working out of this like really unique space. It was almost like a WeWork, but for a warehouse space. But it was a self-storage facility. So they didn't market it as that, but there were a lot of startups in the e-commerce space that were like in this large warehouse subdivided into smaller sections, like working together. And we were doing great, and these people saw us what we're doing, and they're like, "Hey, who's doing your fulfillment?" Because fulfillment is a pain for us, and so
it's a pain for everybody.
Paying for everybody. So we have paying clients and without even a website or a name for the business yet. And so when that happened, we're like, all right, well, we should probably make this into a real thing. So that's when GrowthJet was launched, and then
tell the IRS about get your EIN number. The easiest thing to get is your EIN number.
Yeah.
So I get something back from the IRS other than your EIN number is impossible. But so the GrowthJet was born, and then COVID hit. Dum.
Oh, COVID hit. Yeah. So we actually we were forced to leave our warehouse, and we were given 1 month, and so we had to find a new warehouse. And this is March 2020, beginning of the lockdown, and so it was like. It was chaotic because we're looking for a new warehouse to move to. And what's funny is, ironically, Amazon was coming in after and taking over the entire warehouse. So Amazon fulfillment took over the entire warehouse, and our tiny little fulfillment operation was overtaken by Amazon. And so
that's a badge of courage, I guess.
So that happened, and then we got pushed out, but it's all good. So
you found another spot. So in your mind, what's the best thing about being an entrepreneur? I mean, because you've done the Wall Street grind, you've done the nomad life where you fly out to San Francisco on a whim with no real plan. What's the best thing about being an entrepreneur in your mind?
For me, the best part is that you never know. Like, the journey is not the same. Like, there's always a new challenge. Like, nothing is static and stable, which is like, I guess some people might see that as a bad thing, but I just love, because I guess I love seeing opportunities and like spotting them, and so I'm always like looking for the new thing. And so like when COVID hit, for example, like I was like, okay, this is a huge change, and like people are scared. Like, where are the opportunities? Because this is going to change some things. Right. And so, that was a big shift in my thinking. And in my opinion, the best part about entrepreneurship is that we have, it's not a steady thing where predictable revenue. Okay, well, I go to my 9-to-5 job. I sit there, I know what I'm supposed to work on, and then I leave. Like, it's so boring for me. Like, entrepreneurship to me is like every day is a new challenge. So,
that's fun. That's awesome. And so what keeps you up at night as an entrepreneur? I mean, because there's always the flip side of like, oh my God. Yeah.
I guess it's the same thing, which is that, you don't know what's happening. Like, literally tomorrow, I can get a notice in the mail being like, hey, like, you've been sued or whatever it is. Right. You just never know what is coming in the mail or whatever. Like, you just never know, like, tomorrow something could happen. I could receive an email, or like, you just don't know. And you just have to be comfortable with that unknown. And like, I've learned over the 8 years that, you just gotta live life, kind of go with the flow and let things happen.
Exactly. So then what's the most important thing to carry with you all the time, despite not everyday carry gear? Like, that's too easy. That's too easy for you.
Sorry, what was the question?
What is the most important thing to carry with you all the time?
What is the most important thing? I think for me, I mean, like physically or just mentally?
It could be, you can go as deep and woo-woo as you want to go with this.
All right. I think I'll just go with woo-woo here, and I'll go with
Technical term.
I guess just the belief that, like, in the end, like, things will work out. And I like to zoom out also a lot. Is like, if you're in the weeds of something where it's not working out, like, you just got to zoom out and being like, all right, like, what I'm worrying about right now, like, actually that bad, in the grand scheme of things. And so I think what I carry with me is just like this unwavering belief that things will be okay. And that, I guess, the world has my back. Like, no one is out to get me. It's just, I got to trust that everything that's happening right now is for the better of a future tomorrow of me, right? So, like, that's the belief that I carry, and I think that attracts a lot of good energy. So
it does. The positive belief, I think, is everything.
Yeah.
So where's your main watering hole online? I know you're on X, for better or for worse, until something blows up over there. I know, we can find you at firstclassfounders.com, which is, I love the podcast. It's excellent. It's just what I need every day. Well, not every day, but when it comes out, Urban EDC.com, SpottedByHumphrey.com, GrowthJet.com. But where online do you hang out the most? Like, where do you post the most?
Yeah.
Is it Twitter
right now,
LinkedIn?
I would say X/Twitter right now. I'm starting to expand onto LinkedIn and Instagram too, but right
you
now
you are on
it's
Instagram with
X.
your dog.
That's true. Yeah.
You're kind of there already, but that's your wife's that's her baby, right? Like,
yes, that is my wife's baby.
That's when we first talked, you're like, that's more like your wife likes to do the dog things. So
yeah,
well, it's fun. So, Yong-Soo, thank you for coming on. It's been great. And guess what? We'll see everyone next time.
Thanks, Seth.
That was a great show. If you're enjoying Entrepreneurs Enigma, please review us in the podcast directory of your choice. Every review helps other podcast listeners find our show. If you're looking for other podcasts in the marketing space, look no further than the Marketing Podcast Network at marketingpodcasts.net. Goldstein Media hopes you have enjoyed this episode.
You may know you're listening to this show along the Marketing Podcast Network, but did you know there are other great shows on MPN to help your business? Sean Swaim hosts a great podcast called SEO Last Week. Sean, tell us what these fine folks will get when they listen.
Anybody who listens to SEO Last Week will get all the updates of what's going on in the world of SEO in about 15-20 minutes or so that way you can stay up to date with what's going on Google without having to dig through 60 different blogs to do so.
That is super useful. Where can people subscribe?
Hey, we try to keep things simple. You can subscribe at Marketing Podcasts with that second S.net, or you could just search for SEO Last Week wherever you get your podcasts from.
You heard him, folks. Go subscribe. This podcast is heard along the Marketing Podcast Network. For more great marketing podcasts, visit marketingpodcasts.net.